Welcome to Retro Scale Modelling. This is part 4 of AMT's Star Trek Next Generation Enterprise D. In this part, I'm probably working on the clear parts for the warp nacelles and the collector's dish. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. Before I start, I'm just going to light test these new wires placed in. The filler's been left for a little while now, so everything should be dry. So it's just a matter to make sure the power is going through the lights. So I'm just connecting it up, and I've got a little test light, a little LED light. So I'll just take off my main light and connect this up. And as you can see, just a bit cross-wired there, just shorten the circuit out. There we go. So you can see that the power is going through okay. And I'm just going to be sanding these. I like sanding. I don't want to break the connection like I did last time. It'll probably mean the surface won't be as smooth as I like, and there may be little lumps and bumps. If there is, I'll see if I can deal with them later on, but I think it's something I'm going to have to live with. It's because I screwed up from the start, but hopefully it won't look too bad. I won't really know until I put the primer on. On to painting the clear parts, and I'm using Revit Aquacolor 731 Clear Red, and this is for the Buzzard collection. Now this goes on very thinly, so it's going to take several coats. If you're doing this, be prepared to put on a lot of coats for coverage. Revit Aquacolor 752 Clear Blue goes on a lot better than the red does. It's probably because it's a darker pigment. You only need a couple of coats with this, but either way, you want thin coats and just to build it up. The deflector dish is getting the same treatment, so that's the blue going on, and then it's back to the 731 red clear, and this is for the impulse engines and thrusters. So as you can see, the colour is building up, but the Buzzard collector still needs another few coats of paint before I can carry on. Now, I've already blackened out the saucer section, started light blocking. I just used black primer for that on a rattle can, a spray can. And as you can see, it's all done now. The markings on the filler didn't quite show up, but I suspect that was because it is the actual black paint going on first. Once I put on the white paint and the grey primer as well, all part of the light blocking, I'll see how well those nacelle struts are. And I'll be doing that in between putting in the coats of the red and blue. So the primer is done off camera because it is a rattle can. So I've started off with the black, then to cover that I will be then going on to grey or white for the inside, grey for the outside. So I put on the white primer first of all, so you can see the black is still on the underside. So I'm just having another look at these seam lines that I put the filler in, and they really do stand out. So I'm going to file them a little bit more, gently as possible, try and get them down a little bit. They're a little bit difficult to see because light keeps on bouncing off the white or the model, but you can see they're quite prominent, and they're raising up far too much for my liking. I've sanded them as far down as I dare, so I'm just doing a light test to make sure the light is coming on. It's not flush, as I said. I think maybe the decals might cover it up. It's a bit of a wing on a prayer, but I really don't want to have to rewire the whole thing again. So it's back to the deflector dish, and I'm using Revit Aquacolor 50 light blue here, and this is for the inner band blue on the deflector dish. Technically, this is not part of the deflector dish. It has a different name, but I can't quite remember it. Now, this paint is just a normal flat matte paint, so the light isn't going to shine through. So when the light comes through, it's going to look a lot darker. I did play about with trying to get the clear blue a darker shade, so it would show up a bit more, and I just couldn't quite do it. So I've opted just to put on the matte paint and live with that. If anyone has a better solution for this, I'd love to hear from you, because ideally I would like the light to shine through. Now I'm going on to the bridge of the saucer section, and you can see it's this little dome part. This has windows all around it, but I'm only going to be putting a few in. First of all, I'm just marking areas off that I want to drill a hole in. So I'm using my knife as a pilot hole before placing the drill bit in. This is quite difficult just because of the size of the part. And if you're doing it, just make sure it doesn't slip and stab your fingers. I've done that a couple of times. My first few holes, I did them too straight. They went into the housing of the bridge itself. So I put the drill bit back in and angled it more onto the actual top of the dome. But you won't see it on the outside. Yeah, you just see it's all in the inside. This is just to let the light shine through it. Then I opened up the inside, made it a trunca channel as such, to feed the light through it. Onto the main shuttle bay 1, and I'm using Revol color 371. This is light grey, and it's for the walls of the shuttle bay. Now, the kit, you can have a door, so this is all closed off, so you don't have to show it. I want to open. I've never done it open before, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to do it. Now, these colours may not necessarily be the correct colours if you're going for screen accuracy. I just prefer this colour. I think it stands out a bit better. And then I'm using Revol Aqua 57 Grey, and this is for the floor area. So back to the saucer section, and as you can see, the white has been primed on the inner part and the grey is on the outer part of the saucer section, and I'm concentrating here on the bridge. But first of all, I have to cut the bit of plastic out that the bridge sits into so the light shines through. And as you can see, I'm just using my Dremel to cut into it once I get in position. I don't want to be cutting my wire, of course. You can do this with a knife as well if you don't have a Dremel or another cutting tool. You know, it just takes a little bit longer. So I just got out a little square, and I'm using a sculpting tool here just to pop out the little square that I've cut with the Dremel, just taking off any of the excess. Now, these little sculpting knives are generally for clay working and woodworking, things like that. But they're very good for heavy duty removal of thick plastic, which this saucer section quite is. So once I've cut it all out and happy with it, I'm just taking off any of the rough edges. So I think maybe that I can take a little bit more of the excess plastic off. So I'm just placing the bridge on, and then I'll mark up how much more plastic I can remove. And I'll just do this part with my hobby knife, because there's not much to take off. In fact, I'll use my heavy duty sculpting knife here. This has just got a stronger blade and it won't bend as I'm pushing it into the plastic. If you are doing something like this, just be careful. One of your hands, you don't want to be slicing off any fingers. And two, do it gently enough that you're not going to be putting so much pressure on it, it's going to jump and go into the actual main part of the saucer section, because of course that could ruin the build. But of course you can always make the argument I'm ruining it anyway, but there you go. And to cement it, I'm using a bit of sprue glue here. The reason is, just in case there is any light bleed, this will stop it from showing. So it's acting as a filler as well, but also as a bonding agent. So I'm just placing it around the edges, and as I said, this will fill in any gaps around the edge, but they won't actually. When I test fit it, I couldn't see anything, but it's better to err on the side of caution. And then the bridge can just simply pop in there, and that's all there is to that part. Back to the shuttle bay, and I'm just drilling some holes into the back wall. Now, I don't think, again, this is screen accurate, but I just want some lights coming through. It's just my personal taste. If you are going for accuracy, that's probably not the way to do it. But I just want a little bit of light coming through the actual bay. There's markings on the shuttle bay floor. Unfortunately, the kit doesn't come with the decals for that, so I've jumped into my spare box, and I'm just going to grab some parts of these decal, cut them up a little bit, and apply them. Luckily, there's a number 01 on the floor of this shell bay, and this spare bit of decal I've got here had the right size, so that was a bit of luck. So as I placing in these decals, this is where I'll end part 4. Quite a challenge so far for me on this build. As I said, I haven't built this kit for many years, and I haven't lit it up before. So it is proving a bit of a challenge, but I'm enjoying it. I have already made mistakes along the way on it, so I'll be interested to see how it all turns out. But as you can see there, the decals are going on. If you are looking for some decals that from your spare box to fit something, don't be afraid to cut them up and trim them to fit your particular build that you're doing. It's the best way to do it instead of, well, of course you could, you can paint all this in. There's a lot of masking involved for such a small part. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit the notification bell. That way you'll be kept up to date not only with this build, but all my future builds as well, of course. Don't be afraid to leave a comment, particularly if you've got a suggestion for the darker clear blue that I had difficulty with. And of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.